everybody, my name is TechReal and welcome to the first video of 2020. Let's just jump right in. So as you may know, over the past year, I've gotten really addicted to Blue's Clues. To the extent where literally almost all of last year's videos were about Blue's Clues or Blue's Clues new to some extent, so yeah, I really dived into the fandom hardcore. In doing that, I also learned about a lot of little things that the community does in regards to fan work, including something that I found interesting, which was Blue's Clues fan series. If you don't know, these are series on YouTube that basically seek to recreate Blue's Clues in some way or form, but with a little bit of a twist. Sometimes that twist is just replacing the host with yourself, sometimes it's replacing the host and Blue with your own original character, or sometimes not original character, and sometimes it's about replacing basically everyone in the entire house. Again, sometimes with some original characters and sometimes some less than original characters, like random show characters or video game characters, you know, that sort of thing. They're not all perfect, of course, they're fan series, there's not much that can be really achieved in the way of super amazing quality, but for what they are, I actually really enjoy some of the Blue's Clues fan series. With some twists and turns, they're actually pretty entertaining to watch, and very interesting to see what people do to make it their own. And that got me thinking, what would I do to make it my own? How would I make a Blue's Clues fan series? So I thought about it over the course of the past week or so, and I wrote it down, and I sketched it out, and now I've put it all together in a nice little presentation for you to sort of explain how I would make my own little fan series. So right off the bat, two things I do want to explain. One is that I don't currently have any plan to make this a actual series. This is not my pitch in order to present an idea that I'm actually in the works of creating as an actual end product. It's definitely a nice dream. It's something that I would love to do, you know, with the correct rights and permissions if I were to ever be able to obtain it, which I would assume would cost some sort of money. But as of right now, it's just not okay to do. It's like, I hate to say it, it's not fair use. It really isn't. As much as I could change and, you know, edit about the my fan series that would make it not as Blue's Cluesy and not use the same characters, it'd still be taking the idea and certain other aspects, so it just wouldn't be a safe thing to try and make. And, you know, I would, you know, personally like to wait in the future, again, when I have, you know, when I could obtain the rights and the permissions, and, you know, make it as good as it can be with the right resources and maybe even some money behind it. So that's a future dream, that's something that's way off, so as of right now, no plans on making it an actual legitimate thing, so just wanted to establish that right off the bat. Secondly, I haven't changed every little detail about the show for my fan series idea. I'm assuming that, you know, if this were a thing, that a lot of the songs would remain the same, and I'm assuming it would still take place in the same, you know, world, in the same type of neighborhood, so I'm not going as far to change every little thing. I haven't, you know, recreated, you know, the rooms of the house, because I could only do so much while keeping my sanity. I just want to say that I've only, you know, changed a select number of things. You can assume that other things would be semi-changed in some ways, but for the most part, this is all taking place in the Blue's Clues world. Blue's Clues songs are pretty much staying intact, you know, for this whole thought experiment, and I'm really only changing the, mainly the characters and certain other things. So, yeah. And lastly, before I get started, I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but, you know, I feel like it might be safer to, just as, you know, have it on the record as me saying it. Please don't use anything that I've made in this video for your own fan series. You do not have my permission, because it's mine, and it's something that I might want to use one day, and even if I don't, it's mine, so just please don't use it. Please don't. Theft is wrong, so don't. Blue wouldn't approve, so keep that in mind. Alright, so with all that out of the way, let's go into the things that I would do if I were to have my very own Blue's Clues fan series and what it would be like. Let's start off with what I think is the most important thing, the replacement for Blue. And of course, how could I choose anyone but my boy, Goobs? Yes, Goober in this series would be my Blue, because obviously, he's my favorite original character that I've ever made, and he's non-vocal. You know, he doesn't speak in actual words. He more, this is something I've actually thought of in the past little while. He speaks with a sort of like gargly noise, because he's goo. He doesn't have a mouth. He doesn't say words. he speaks in like a little gargle, like a sort of like blah, 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 that sort of noise, because logic. And also because it sounds cute, I don't know. But yeah, that would make a good replacement for Blue's bark, and because he can't speak, that would explain why he needs to leave behind clues so he can be understood, and so we can get the things that he needs or wants to get across. Some notes about Goobs. 1, he loves ducks. They're his favorite animal of all time, and he even has a little plush duck that he loves. Whether or not it's the colors seen in the sketch, I don't really know. It might be a little bit more extravagant than just normal duck colors, but we will see. And also, Goober loves to draw. I figure where Blue has her love for reading and has a little book nook, Goober loves to draw and maybe has a little area that he, has a bunch of little art supplies that he can work around with. And yeah, because personally, I relate more to drawing than I do to reading, so I feel like, Goober can express some creativity throughout the show in a way that makes more sense to me personally. Because my series, my rules. Now, as previously mentioned, Goober is going to have to leave behind clues, as this is a Blue's Clues fan series. So, what would the paw prints that he puts behind look like? Well, they would look a little something like this. As you can see, pretty similar to the shape of the normal clues, a little bit different, a little bit more imperfect, because I'm assuming maybe in this world, Goober, as I've established, it takes place in the Blue's Clues world, so if Goobs knows about Blue and knows about Blue's Clues, he would take inspiration from that and try to make it his own. Even if he couldn't make it perfect, it's still close enough. And as you can see, it's also a bit drippy because it is made of his goo. It's goo, so it's like, slimy. So, not in a bad way, in a Goobert way. Also, these paw prints would have the same properties of Blue's paw prints in that, they can be any size they need to be, they can move around and make other things, sort of come to life in the way that Blue's paw prints do. How they do that, I don't know. We're just gonna chalk that up to random magic that would exist in this world, because, sure. But yeah, these are Goob's paw prints. So now we have Goobs and his clues. So what would the series be called? Obviously, it would be called Goob's Clues, the official title of this idea for a Blue's Clues fan series. I love it. And here's the logo, as you can see. I love it. Not to toot my own horn, I actually just really enjoy it. Obviously, as noted in the notes, it is a mimic of the Blue's Clues logo, and that's all there really is to say about that. So let's move on to the next important thing, which would be the host of the show, which would be me, because, Goobs is my boy, so I need to be the host. He's my best friend, I'm his best friend, so it works out. But then, what exactly would I wear? What would my outfit be for this fan series? Because, you gotta have the iconic outfit, because, Steve and Joe and Josh, they do. So what would mine be? Mine would be, well, the same thing that I sort of talked about in the Q&A video that I did last year, which would be this shirt. Or rather, shirts. It's a short sleeve shirt with the stripe and question marks, sort of inspired by Joe's shirt with the stripe and squares, and that's worn over a darker colored long sleeve shirt. And if you have seen the Q&A, you will also recognize these color variations, because yes, I like the idea of having the different color variations of the shirt, again, like Joe did, because it added a little flair to the show. It added a nice little switch up per episode, so it wasn't always perfectly identical to the last. So yeah, this is my own little outfit. I honestly really enjoy it. Again, this is the type of thing I would really love to have in real life right now. But as it is a nice little idea, and the type of thing that I would love to wear in a Blue's Clues fan series. Next, let's talk about one of the most important tools to have in the show. One of the very important things for a game of Blue's Clues, or rather, Goob's Clues, which would be, of course, the handy-dandy notebook. So, what would mine look like? Well, it would look a little something, or rather, identically. I don't know why I keep saying a little something. It's gonna look like this. And yes, it is a notebook phone, because after watching Blue's Clues New and, starting to get into that, I've really fallen in love with the idea of the notebook phone. I love phones, I love technology, and I also love the handy-dandy notebook, so mixing those two into one is brilliant and perfect, and I wanted to do something related to that as well. So, let's talk more about the design. Of course, as you can see, it has some light blue stripes, again, sort of emulating Josh's in a way, and also the design of some goo dripping from the top, of course in reference to Goober, plus a nice big white question mark on the front, sort of keeping on brand with the Diddlebox light blue and question marks, because, you gotta stay on brand. Now, while it is similar to Josh's notebook, I do want to take a tip from the original series of Blue's Clues, and this might also show up in Blue's Clues New, but it hasn't yet. But the thing I'm talking about is how during certain special episodes, like birthdays or sleepovers, the notebook would change a little bit and have a slightly different variation. So these are the variations that I've, sketched up. From left to right, they are a birthday notebook with some frosting and sprinkles where the goo would be, a nighttime notebook with some darker colors and a starry night sky where the goo would be, a winter/Christmas notebook with snow where the goo is, with some, snowflakes dropping beneath, as well as the pencil. Actually, I haven't even talked about the pencil yet. We'll get there in a second. The pencil having some candy cane stripes, and lastly, a sort of silly, opposite day type notebook where the goo is striped and the stripes are goo, and the pencil is just full-on gray. So, speaking of the pencil, let's get on to that, because instead of a crayon, I feel like I'd use a pencil in a series like this because, personally, I'm just more comfortable with pencils than I am with crayons, and to solve the whole, how are we going to do the different colors for special clues, I would obviously use colored pencils, so it all works out in that same way. But yes, this is what my notebook and pencil, instead of crayon, would be. I really like it. I think it is very fitting to the idea of the series, and again, the type of thing I wish I had with me right now, but maybe in the future, who knows. So anyways, we have the replacement for blue in Goobs, we have the paw prints, we have the logo, we have the shirts, we have the notebook. So that's all we really need, right? Well, here's the thing. I didn't want to take anything from Blue's Clues that I didn't have to, There are certain things, of course, that will be shared, like I mentioned earlier, certain songs, the similar shape of the paw prints, the idea of the notebook. Of course, again, it's a Blue's Clues fan series, things are going to be, somewhat inspired or similar. But I wanted to try to make it my own as much as I could, so rather than just doing the bare minimum, which I feel like I've already exceeded, I also decided that I would go ahead and replace everybody in the Blue's Clues house with some original characters. I say original characters, they're very simple. They're still technically somewhat original. They're object characters just like the, other ones, but they're different objects, and they do have some semblance of their own personality in certain ways, so, I like them a lot, and I've been working on them for a while now, so, I hope you guys like them, and let's get started. Let's start off with Cabinet, aka Cabby, aka Cabby. There's two spellings, as you can see. I haven't decided which one I like more, because one makes more logical sense and one makes more phonetic sense. But, it's fine. Plenty of time to figure that out, and, for the future. But anyways, this is Cabby. She is, of course, a cabinet, and she is the replacement for side table drawer. She would be sitting by the thinking chair and holding the notebook. As you can see, she also has 4 little wheels so she can scoot around, and this would also potentially allow her to be more a part of, the plots of episodes, because I love Side Table Drawer, but unfortunately she's just, not very used. She's very often near the thinking chair, in the living room, so I would, want Cabinet to be more a part of the episodes. And also, just a random little detail regarding the wheels, I think it would be very cute if when she gets really excited, she spins around, does a little 360 spin. I don't know why. It's just something that I thought of, and I was like, that's adorable. So if this were ever a thing, that's what would happen. But yeah, this is Cabinet, Cabby, and yeah, moving on. Next, let's talk about Lampy. I know, original name, very interesting name. She is a lamp, a little lamp, not like one of the really big lamps. She's like she wouldn't illuminate a whole room. She's like a little nightlight almost. She's small, is my point. She is the replacement for Tickety Talk, so she would be in the bedroom predominantly, but again, can go anywhere in the house. She is, as stated, a lamp, so she is a little light, turns on and off at will. I have not yet decided whether or not she has like a light switch on the back or some sort of like pull cord. If she has the pull cord, it would retract up into the lampshade part of her. Because I think it kind of messes up the design personally, but yeah, so that's up in the air as of right now, probably leaning a bit more towards the switch, but yeah, little lamp. And I think a little cute quirk of hers would be that her light is tied to how she's feeling. So when she's really happy, her light will, brighten up and, turn on. When she gets sad, if her light is on, it would dim or maybe turn off entirely. And maybe, when she's nervous, it would flicker a bit because she's freaking out. Et cetera, stuff like that. I think that'd be a really cute little quirk of hers, a little character trait, something that'd be visually interesting about her. But yes. Moving on, we have Mirror, which might honestly be one of my favorite characters, just because I really like the idea behind him. He is a mirror, as you can see, a little hand mirror. He would take Slippery's place. He would, again, predominantly be in the bathroom, but would, go around the house a lot. I feel like he wouldn't spend too much time in the bathroom. I think he'd be, around doing stuff a lot of the time, but yeah, the thing that I like about him, the idea that I like behind him, is that he likes to copy or imitate people, that sort of thing, as a sort of extension of reflections, because he is a mirror, he reflects people, so I feel like it'd be an amusing little thing if he also liked to copy people in general. So in the sketch, as you can see, he's copying me as the host, my little character, and I don't know, there's something so amusing about this idea for me. I want to see him copy everyone in the house. I want to see that happen as like just a general happenstance. Like I'd be drawing down a clue, and then by the time that little segment, the drawing segment is done, he's just behind me doing the same sort of thing. I don't know. There's something so amusing about this to me. But yeah, if not Cabby, I think Mirror is my favorite. Which I feel bad saying who's my favorite, because these are all my little creation babies, but I love Mirror. So, yep. Oops. Next up, let's go to the kitchen and meet the Measure family. Yes, we have Mr. and Mrs. Measure, or Measuring Cup, and Baby Tablespoon. Obviously a replacement for the Shaker family, Mr. Salt, Mrs. Pepper, and Paprika. I'm actually very proud of this idea, if I'm completely honest. I love the idea of it being just like all measuring devices instead of spices. I don't know, I really like it. So, of course, Mr. Measure is a liquid measuring cup. Mrs. Measure is I guess you would say a powder measuring cup. And Baby Tablespoon is, a tablespoon. These characters would cook for everyone in the house, and they really enjoy baking, as these tools are usually used for baking, even though they can be used for cooking as well, but baking is what I use them for. And something that I haven't decided on, but it's something that is an idea, is that if they were to include another baby at some point, if they were to have another baby at some point, Cinnamon, or like Sage and Ginger now, I think the baby would be Teaspoon, because that's the next lower down. In fact, the only reason I didn't call Tablespoon Teaspoon is to leave open the idea of a new baby, because, I wasn't sure that I wanted two, babies in this situation, so I just went with the one, and I made it Tablespoon just to leave the option open for later on, because you can't really get any lower than a teaspoon other than like a half teaspoon, and that would be a horrible name for a child. So, yes, that is the Measure family. Next up, who do we go to when we need some mail? Well, in this instance, instead of mailbox, that would be laptop. Yes, a laptop. I like the idea of introducing a computer character. In addition to providing emails, this character would also introduce the idea of more like internet culture and games, as in terms of plots and learning experiences, because those are something that a lot of kids nowadays deal with. As mentioned, the laptop provides the emails, and he is, the replacement for mailbox, meaning that there wouldn't necessarily be letters in Goob's Clues, but, the emails on the screen would take the same appearance of letters, and of course they, just like in Blue's Clues New, they work the same purpose, so I don't think it's too big a change. and it adds more than takes away, I think. So I think it works out. Laptop, as you can see also in the sketch, has a sort of paw print on the back of him, a glowing paw print to sort of emulate the logo that some devices have on the back. Of course, in this case, it's a paw print because Goob's Clues / Blue's Clues, so it's, relevant to the plot. And one little extra detail I forgot to mention about Laptop that I think would be amusing is that he has, or sometimes has, a cursor on his screen that, of course, he could manipulate as his hand. Which is a little bit reminiscent of, what was his name? Probably Cursor in, Blue's Clues, that was used in one single episode, which I wish they would have used more of, because again, of course, I guess back then the internet wasn't as much of a thing, so now that the internet has grown into what it is, now that it's more relevant in kids' lives, it's, something that should be included in the show, I think, at least in Goob's Clues, so that is Laptop. And now last, but certainly not least, let's go to the backyard to see Wagon. Wagon is the replacement for Shovel and Pail. Yes, I'm replacing two characters with one because, and yeah, he would take care of the outdoors stuff. He'd be the outdoorsy one who'd be in the backyard most of the time, playing and that sort of thing, just like Shovel and Pail do. Things about him, I like to think that he would collect things to carry. In fact, he has this stuffed animal that I'm not sure if it's going to be, if it's an official thing in the idea, but it's something that I like. The idea that he has this, stuffed animal that he carries around with him and has writing in his, wagon part. In the sketch, as you can see, I think he'd be maybe a giraffe. I don't know. It's an idea, nothing concrete, but it's an idea. And also I'd like to think that he likes to go fast because obviously he has wheels, he's a wagon, he wants to move around, especially in the backyard. He has plenty of room to ride around, with good old Mr. Giraffe. Oh, that's a name. But yes, that is Wagon. And that about wraps it up for all the different changes that I would bring to my Blue's Clues fan series, aka Goob's Clues. Honestly, I'm very happy with all the work that I've done here. I think that I've made enough changes to sort of make it my own thing, make it different enough from Blue's Clues to not be a just direct copy, outside of the, plot elements, of course, because, again, not trying to make it a perfect, its own original thing, just trying to do a little thought experiment to make it, enough of my own thing to warrant it existing. But yeah, I'll be honest, I really love it to the point where I wish I could do it right now. If I had the funds and the permissions, I would totally make Goob's Clues immediately. But I don't as of right now, and may never get the rights. It depends, again, this is something that right now I'm not going to act on. Maybe in the future I can work something out depending, because if I'm going to do it, I want to do it right. I want to do it all on the up and up. And not take any risks. But, yeah, I would love to do something like this one day. I think it'd be fun, if even just for, a one-off video. But yeah, so what do you guys think of Goob's Clues? And question for the comments, who is your favorite character, do you think? Because I'm very curious to see who you guys like the best. Again, before the video's over, I just want to establish one more time, please don't use any of these characters, any of these, assets that I've made. It's my idea, it's my thing, something that I might do one day if I can, so I would really appreciate it if you just didn't steal it like a good right clod. So, yes, that is my plea. Please don't. Yeah, don't be a thief. So, yes, that is about it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and hope you like this idea as much as I do, because maybe one day. But yeah, that's it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video.